Hey, it's Mike Hambright with FlipNerd.com. Welcome back for another exciting VIP interview where I interview successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs in our industry to help you learn and grow. Today I have the honor of being joined by Jack Shea. He's a legend and one of the most well-known teachers in real estate investing who's been a wealth of knowledge to thousands for well over 30 years. Jack is kind of a sage that has taught generations of real estate investors. And today he's going to share with us the benefits of holding your properties in trust. He's going to go over a number of things, including kind of the top 10 reasons, if we can get to them all. Before we get started with Jack, though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days. Rates start as low as 9%. We'd also like to thank National Real Estate Insurance Group, the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Jack, welcome to the show, my friend.
Good to be here, Mike.
Yeah. So thank you for your time. I just want to tell everybody a little bit of maybe it's a joke. I don't know if it's a joke. We were kind of talking about where you're at, and you said you're at a point in your life where now you're focused on trying to figure out how to spend your money and not necessarily making it anymore, which is a great problem to have.
Well, it was cleaned a lot of toilets and evicted a lot of tenants. So, after 30 years of this and hundreds of deals, it wasn't like it was a walk on the beach every day.
No, that's obviously, a lot of people that before you become a real estate investor, you're kind of led to believe that it's the land of milk and honey and everything's easy, but that's not how it works, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, Jack,
sure.
It's a pleasure to have you on today. I know you've got a tremendous amount of experience, and thank you for being here.
My pleasure. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm as I say, paying it forward a little bit. I wouldn't take a house or a note if somebody gave it to me. I don't need it more.
That's great. Well, so today we're going to talk about trusts, right?
Yeah, it's been something that, in fact, we were talking about Chicago or growing up in Illinois. It's been the standard way of doing business there since the 1890s. So it's not a mystery. And my father had apartments in Chicago in trusts, and I'm talking that the banks would only loan money if it was in trusts. And when I got to Florida, it was part of the statute in Florida. So the first deal in every note and real estate deal and lease and option that I've ever done has been in trust. So okay. I don't know any other way to do business.
Yeah.
Some reasons why people coast to coast have been getting involved in more and more. It's the law of the land. It's not tough to do.
Right. You think there's just some kind of mystery behind it, so it's not more widely known and people kind of assume it's more difficult than it is?
And that's not a bad thing, because some of the contingency fee attorneys and bureaucrats think so. But as my partner, Mark Ward, as an attorney, wrote the law book, he says, trust is a form of ownership. Real estate offers benefits owning without owning it in your own name. Three major benefits to him are privacy, no public record, protecting from liability, and avoiding probate. But it's an agreement that someone else holds your property in their name, but you retain all the benefits, the tax benefits, the financial, you pay taxes on everything. It's just not in your name. And that takes a lot of the trouble out of owning real estate with jealous tenants, attorneys, or frivolous things. It takes that off the table.
Yeah, that is always a concern of people, is if I get sued, is somebody going to take away all my properties? And there's some issues there that, trusts seem to help. I will tell you, I had somebody else on the show a long time ago, last year, that talked about trusts, and I don't use trusts, and when I heard it, it sounded like it made a whole lot of sense. I have a rental property portfolio, and since that time, this is one thing that was really kind of got me scratching my head, is we don't manage our own rental properties, but we had our property manager told us that somebody that apparently was a distant family member of a house that we purchased a year or two earlier had just gotten out of prison and was threatening the tenants in the house, saying that that's his house and he was going to find out who owns it now, and was threatening all sorts of stuff. And it kind of got me thinking, like, gosh, in the city records, if you just go into the normal CAD, Central Appraisal District, my office address is on there, and was kind of a scary thought too, that it's that public.
Yeah, well, I do a class. They said I'm doing one May 2nd in Philadelphia, Cherry Hill. I'm doing one later in California. I've done them all over the country, and there's a book that Mark Borda wrote, and it's got 230 pages, 37 forms on a CD, and people can fill them out. It's like filling out a lease or a contract, name and dates and address and stuff. It's not complicated. And there's some guidelines. People need to pay attention to it, but it's, as we'll be talking about, the dozens and dozens of benefits. And a lot of people can't find an attorney or qualified attorney. You can do it yourself with the right guidelines, the right documents.
Yeah. Well, Jack, you want to start talking about some of the benefits? Why don't you maybe take a second and just, for those that are listening that they've heard the word trust a million times, but they don't actually really know what that is. I mean, can you just at the kind of most basic level tell us what a trust is?
Mike, it's a contract between two people. I'll be your trustee for a year for a couple $100, and I agree to only obey and do what you tell me to do, and you're the beneficiary. You're the 100% beneficiary. And so I will do that. It's a performance agreement between two people, and lists duties, and the trustee is authorized to do this, that, the other. Nothing without your direction. Okay. And there's thousands, there's many kinds of trust, but the simple revocable trust is available in Texas and all 50 states, and there's 6 states that have a statute. So it's a revocable trust that's about 6 pages, and once people get into a lot of cases where they wish they had done it, they got the lawsuit or the accident, and it's a no cost deal. It's a no tax, no cost. It's just changing from your name to Mary Jones, trustee of the Gulf Investment Trust, or what do you want to call it.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the benefits.
Well, there are, I have my top 10, but other people have other ones. But basically, the privacy of ownership gives you the most things. We have a personal property trust for mobile homes and notes. It keeps your name off of that. We have a checkbook control trust, which I've been using for many years to get your IRA funds from the custodian into your corner bank, where you have your checkbook control, and you can do notes and loans, and I do by realtors commissions, tax returns. And as Gordon Moss was on with you, he said on my website, JackSheaRealEstate.com is my website, and Gordon, he's doubling his IRA every year with these notes. So it's 3 kinds of trusts we use, and then we use them interconnected with each other. And it's really, it takes a lot of the grief up. I do financing in a trust with UCC, like cars are financed. So I hold the beneficial interest, and I don't have to foreclose. So I've taken dozens of houses back, no sheriff, no registered letter.
Wow.
We've got different ways. The purchase price is not disclosed in the courthouse, the seasoning issues. We partner with, say, you and I, and Gordon could be 30% on the back of a napkin. We write our shares, and we can trade back and forth. No courthouse, no tenants in common. And that's I do a lot of that, and it makes it less expensive and faster.
And setting up legal entities, yeah. How if it's in a trust? How is that? Is it recorded somewhere? Where how would a title company know if somebody was trying to sell your property and you had it in a trust?
Well, that's a good question, Mike. It's just the deed. If you decide to put your property, but everything I have purchased went from the seller to my trust, which didn't go through me.
Okay.
So I've never had anything, including the house I live in my name. You won't find my name in the public records ever. So the deed from you to Mary Jones, trustee of the Bay Trust, that's what's recorded. No name of the beneficiary. The trust agreement is a private agreement that nobody gets to see. That's where you're named, your children, your successors, they're all delineated in there for future. If something happens to you, avoids probate. Your children get the property that microsecond.
Yeah.
So, no
because you've named the beneficiaries in the trust.
In the trust, not the deed.
Right. Right. Okay. Now, in the event that you wanted to sell a property, how would the title company know? You have to basically show them a copy of the trust at that point?
No. Don't show them the copy of the trust. You send a direction to your trustee to say, Mary Jones, deed this property to
whoever.
John Brown is buying this property.
Sure.
Title company, and we do them every day. I have a 1031 exchange business, and we do thousands of exchange, and lots of people use trusts. And it's title companies are used to it. It's not a glitch. They search the title, and the deed goes from your trustee, Mary, to your buyer. You get the money.
Okay. Great. Well, maybe you could take a second and talk about trustee, like choosing your trustee and what happens in the event that something happens to them.
Yeah, good point. We have spent probably an hour on that in class.
Sure.
And that you need to have somebody that's trustworthy. But we have learned ways to protect yourself from a rogue problem trustee, which we go into. And there's ways that you can record stuff that the trustee can't leave town with your stuff.
Okay.
So that's a good question, the primary question. And I use Mark Ward, an attorney who's a trustee for 1,500 trusts, so he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, he's been my partner and friend for 30 years, and he's an attorney, so people don't worry about certain people, but it's the primary question, and that's good. Yeah.
So maybe you could take a second too. I heard you talk about probate. So a lot of times, as a real estate investor, I've been in several situations where somebody passes away, they didn't have a will. The probates can get really messy, especially if they have distant family members that don't talk to each other anymore, family members that are deceased or in prison, or nobody knows where they're at. And it literally, I have lots of houses we've just never closed because we could never get clear title because we couldn't find some of the people that are beneficiaries of that. Talk about how a trust kind of solves that problem.
Well, it goes immediately to the heirs mentioned in the trust document.
Okay.
It's notarized and with two witnesses, so sometimes it behaves like a will and sometimes it behaves like a trust. But at that point, it may have to be shown, but it's the end of the game. And to make sure the transfer goes to your children, if that has to happen, it's there. And so they could show it, bring it to court, show it to the judge. This is it. There's the children or the whoever's. And what was his name? His estate was the California millionaire Howard Hughes. His estate was probated in 5 different states. You know how long it lasted? Until the money ran out. 5 years.
Yeah.
And then all the money was consumed.
Yeah. So
avoiding probate, that's not part of my plan, but I've seen it a lot of times where it came into play, and it was. So that's among the dozens of benefits. That's a big one.
Sure. Well, where are we going to go from here, Jack?
Well, Mike, once you decide to get into the trust business, my opinion of that is you get a new operating system, like you would with a computer program, a new Windows. You get Photoshop and Excel and Outlook and all that. You get a new way to run your real estate. You get a new, it's a management tool. The tenants don't know who the people are. They can't find out. The bureaucrats, they send stuff to Mark. He sends it to. They can't get through that filter without a court order and a major problem. Mm-hmm. So it's a management tool. I mentioned the partner with guys without going to the courthouse. And if you decided you wanted some money on your share, instead of loaning you money, I'll buy half of your share, give $25,000, and then a month later you go made some money and I give it back to you, and I'm mad because you didn't cut me in your deal. Okay, but that's just on the back of a piece of paper. Okay. And financing is a big thing for me because I loan money, a lot of money, to fixer guys, tenants, owners, or tenants. And it's done under the Uniform Commercial Code without, where I have the beneficial interest assigned to me, it's in the drawer. It's like the car title guy, the buy here, pay here guy. If you don't pay, I've foreclosed on like 11 houses in one day. I left 3 guys a message on their cell phone. They've been foreclosed. It's over. Bring me the keys. And they did. Yeah. No sheriff, no registered letter. So it's tough enough to take stuff back. And in the drop-off in Florida, prices went down. The Chevrolet houses went from 140 to 70. They went in half. Right. Well, the guys that owned those owed 75 or something. So I took them back with enough pain, but I'm still standing and they're not. Yeah. So lending is a big item to me under the Uniform Commercial Code.
In terms of if you, let's say you were buying rental properties, for example, like I do, and I use a lender, without talking about any sort of exotic financing that you might do, but just traditional lenders, are you able to purchase it? The lender has first deed of trust and put the property in a trust?
Some do, Mike, and some don't. And it's hard to train a bank or private people are well secured with that. They like it. But I would say that if you had a really good deal and your bank did not like that and you could get a 3 3/4 or 4%, I'd say take it in your name, close on it, and a month after put it into a trust. Deed it over. Yeah. And they can't call the loan due. So it'd be quicker and easier than trying to train a banker. But you're exactly right. They get a first deed of trust and a personal note signed by you. So what's the difference? Right. There is no difference except they say we don't like it. So you either go somewhere else or go by their rules for a short time. And the fact that when you get it out of your name, it's a good day, even though you owned it previously. If I loaned you the money, our deal would be you still have to manage it. So nobody's for sure that you are still in charge. Right. Right. Yeah. So that's a big, but then, and so, gifting, but the whole buying and selling negotiations and trust take a lot of the stress out. My rules are, Mike, I can only authorized to offer $10,000 down in this kind of financing. And if you agree to that, we can sign a deal. If you want to come back, I could get back to the trustee and you'll get to the beneficiaries and see if it's a cost or delay. The idea is if you want to do a deal today, here's the deal. Right. And it's not that we wouldn't make an adjustment or whoever the characters are. Yeah. So it takes the hostility of being mad about beating up on somebody. It's same with buying. We say authorized to put this much down in these kind of terms. That's their plan. That's the way the trust rules and stuff like that. So tenants, our lenders, borrowers, we treat people right. Properties are good, so have no anger situations with people. So that whole new operating system as personal property, you're trading back pieces of paper without going to the courthouse. Right, right. And I gave that one example. We definitely have had issues where even though we don't manage our properties, somebody has been unhappy with the property management's response to something, and they've tracked us down and called, somehow they've gotten a hold of us directly, and
And we've just, basically tried to push it back to the property management company, like, you need to go fix this because that's why I pay you. But the fact is, they were able to get a hold of us, and it's not a secrecy thing for the wrong reasons. It's just I want to be private about, you want to be private about what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, the trouble with the contingency fee attorney finding, I know people that had 17 properties. They had 8 that they had not gotten into a trust. They were doing it gradually, and they had a real accident, and the contingency fee law firms looked up $850,000 properties. They said, we know how to collect. We'll take this lawsuit. People with land trusts are all different names in different states. They can't connect them.
Right.
The one place where the accident happened, maybe they'll get a insurance claim, or they'll get whatever's in that trust. They don't get your other 20 or 40. I know people with 140 houses, and they're all firewalls separate from each other. And,
right. Right.
So that the new operating system then opens up some tools that elevates my real estate game above the people in the street that they're in an auction. I have tools of doing financing the beneficial interests, and contracts for beneficial interest instead of contracts for deed, and leases of beneficial interest. So we have a dozen different tools that other people don't have to make this. And it's you talked about Pete Fortunato. It's in making selling pieces. We can sell pieces of the trust and pieces at a time. And to me, we've developed with Mark and I and some other investors a lot of these tools of using the trust. We use the personal property trust as an LLC manager. We use it in coordination with the land trust, and that IRA trust. All connecting with each other legally, honest, ethically. It just makes life more enjoyable,
Sure.
And in some ways more profitable.
Yeah. Maybe, Jack, could you take a minute and talk about some of the benefits, other than a probate, which we already talked about, to inside of your family if you wanted to give properties or share properties with your children, or just other things that kind of might be benefits inside of your family? Because most people that are doing this are looking to build some sort of legacy, right? So.
Well, that's a good point, Mike, and it's on my list of 40 benefits. But if you and your wife, say, have 2 children, which this guy has 2 children, it's now $14,000 a year per child per say. So a husband and wife can gift $28,000 to each kid each year by taking a percentage of the beneficial interest. That's very difficult to do with a deeded property. So each year they give, so that's $56,000, and maybe after a couple of years, the kids own the property, and they pay tax at their tax rate. And I know people whose kids are going to high school and college with the rents from the properties, and they have segued them over to the kids, and so talked to a lot of people. The kids aren't interested in that Air Jordan shoes as much anymore. They say, "What's your money? Go buy some." Well, I don't think so. And the MP, the game, the thing, Game Boy or whatever, and stuff.
Yeah,
$400. So that's a good way, and people do that for whatever, say, $140,000 house. It's easy, but if the the value is $182,500, you figure out what percentage of that beneficial interest is $14,000, and that's maybe 17.2. You deliver that in each year to the kids. And
you just rewrite the trust, or you kind of write an amendment to it, or
no, you notify the trustee that Mike is not the 100% owner, but Mike is now 83% and 72%, and he reflects, and Mike Jr. is 14.28, and his share is coming up until Mike Sr. goes to 0, and Mike Jr. Now he may be 12 years old, that's okay. So he will pay tax on that, but it will help send him to college.
Sure, sure. And where do you kind of document that? I mean, help me understand.
You send it. Well, you assign a beneficial interest, a piece of paper that says, here's 14% of the trust to Mike Jr. You assign that percentage of beneficial interest, and it goes, and the trustee has a book that says who owns what percent. I mean, say you and I and Charles were 30%, and we trade, then he enters that. But in your family, your share goes down and their share goes up, and the total's 100%. So he just and say it sells, then people get whatever percentage they own. And if there's a probate situation, well, the children own it. But when it sells, your children will get wherever they are and pay tax on it, and you'll get the rest. So the paperwork is quite simple. It's private. Emails you don't have the notaries and witnesses and stuff.
That's great. Jack, I know that you're trying to squeeze a weekend of training or a lifetime of training into a short interview session here, so I can appreciate that. For folks that want to...
The ebook that I put down, or that I put on my website, Secret Benefits of Trust, is more detail of what we've been talking about today in each of those items, and some we've skipped over. And it's a download on our website. And ultimately, people need to buy a book or take a class with CDs and get the rest of the story. And it's like an all-day session to operate effectively, safely, with directions to the trustee. So like a corporation, that's your minutes that you keep the paperwork square.
Right.
And my trustee, Mark Warda, will not send anything to a closing agent. I'll tell him we're selling Grove Street, and he'll do up the deed. And when I say it's not to the title company, and he says, as soon as you send me the direction, I'll send it. So the 200th time, I apologize to him for figuring out who the blockage in the system was me.
Yeah.
He'll do the paperwork, but he won't send it till he gets a written direction.
Yep. Okay. Well, Jack, we're almost out of time here. So if folks wanted to learn more, I know you've got your ebook. Is that tell us where to get that at?
My website, Mike, is jackshearealestate.com.
Okay, we'll add that link down below here.
It has blogs or testimonials from Gordon and other people. It has articles about options, exchanges, trusts, and I get legal news from Mark. I get inputs from people. So I'm not trying to sell anything. There's a couple things.
Yeah, I know you've got a wealth of information there.
If you want to order it, you can order it. It's mainly an information
Sure.
site.
Sure. I know there's a lot of great information on your site. So we'll add the link for jackshearealestate.com down below. But for those listening, it's jackshearealestate.com. But we'll add a link for anybody that's driving right now, let's say, and can't click over there.
Yeah, the class, it's hard to put it to work with from talking for sure, but even people get a CD or something, there's more depth to the trustee situation. It's a whole chapter, and to the tax. There's no bank, it doesn't have a bank account,
Right.
State tax. So there's who signs leases and who signs evictions. So to flesh out the program and launch people safely with their system, they need to spend a concentrated day.
Sure.
That's on CDs and DVDs too. Or I'll come to Dallas and teach one.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mike, to me, it's been a major impact on my investment career. And notes, all the notes are in personal property trusts. So the privacy and the safety and the other flexibility of operation to me, it's a big item.
Sure. Well, I know it's for those that this is new to, including me. It's a complex, and it can seem like it gets overwhelming. But I know that after you kind of know what you're doing, it actually simplifies a lot of things.
Yeah. And if the world thinks it's complicated, that's okay. Let them.
Yeah.
You're inside, you find out we have a template set up with the same trustee, same beneficiaries, and my wife Merle types in the address and the date and hits print. So we do them in 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, Jack, thanks for trying to fit all your knowledge into a half hour. I know that's impossible, but thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I enjoyed it. And people can contact me, drop me a note, look on the website. Happy to help them out.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for your time today, my friend. Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit FlipNerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry, so get on over to FlipNerd.com.